Leads off, takes a call strike. Morgan had a very impressive game last night. Went 2 for 3, drove in a run, stole a base, made a couple of very impressive plays in left field. A little delay. The home plate umpire Tony Randazzo retrieving a water bottle that was on the field behind home plate. Must have been the national anthem singer. We had quite a lot of musical entertainment before the game here tonight. Oh, boy. Here's the 0-1 to Morgan, and it's taken outside 1-1.
What is this, someone's backyard? What?
Well, you know,
what is going on here?
In the old days, guys used to leave their gloves on the field. There was a lot less concern about debris, but you know, now the field's supposed to be pristine. And this place certainly is. In the air to center field, and Carlos Beltran, who had problems seeing the ball in the twilight last night, has no problem with this one and retires Morgan one away.
You see, though, there has a glare because Carlos has those sunglasses on, even though it's a cloudy day.
In fact, right before the first pitch was thrown, Jose Reyes, who was out on the field, came into the dugout to get sunglasses. Funny thing, isn't it, that even though it's a cloudy day, sometimes you need the protection?
Just to cut down the glare. I think that's really what the problem is. But it's not going to help him up there on top of the hat.
Here's Freddie Sanchez, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Sanchez 1 for 5 last night, drove in a run, has 18 extra base hits this year to lead the National League. And Maine throwing fastballs, misses inside 1-1. John's won his last 2 starts, 6 walks in 6 innings against Atlanta his last time out, including 3 in 1 inning that cost him 3 runs, and clearly that's his main goal today, is to cut down on the walks, as Jonathan Neese did so effectively last night.
Yeah, no walks for Jonathan last night. That was a good slider by John Maine, who's been working with pitching coach Dan Worthen to shore up his secondary pitches.
1-2, and it's punched into left field, a base hit for Sanchez. So a 1-out single for Freddie Sanchez, and the Pirates have the first base runner of the game.
Well, Sanchez in 2006 won the batting title, batting .344, and the way he does it, even on a tough pitch up, he's able to pull those arms in, and really almost a broken bat hit to left field.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now Nate McLouth. McLouth had a couple of hits last night, including that double in the twilight that Church and Beltran were unable to secure. That might have cost John Neese a chance for a win. Maine gets ahead on McLouth 0-1. That double fell and tied the game 2-2, but then Neese, to his credit, was able to settle in and not let it affect him, and that was certainly to his credit.
And I had the call wrong last night. I said that Ryan Church saw the ball and Beltran did not. And today's Ryan Church said that neither of them saw the ball. He's never, ever had that happen where 2 outfielders lost the flight of the ball.
In the air to left center, and Beltran easing over. McLouth retired, 2 down. Back to first goes Sanchez. Well, we mentioned it earlier how the starting rotation has begun to kick it into gear. They struggled early other than Johan Santana, but these last time through the rotation, it's been outstanding.
Interesting, Dan Worthen giving the signals. Those are the signals that Jerry Manuel would usually give to Castro, as he's probably taking that over today with Jerry up in wherever he is in the ballpark.
Distribution of labor. Sandy Alomar runs the team. Dan Worthen runs the pitching. Adam LaRoche takes a strike. LaRoche slumping right now. 1 hit in his last 20 at-bats. Hitting .240 on the year. And a good fastball to get ahead on LaRoche 0-2.
Boy, very interesting that he is. It's hard to believe he would call pitches. Maybe he's making recommendations to Castro. There's no. Oh, I know what he's doing. I'm sorry. This guy on base. So he's running the game, running the running game.
Step offs, pitch outs, and the like. Roche just gets a piece. And it's interesting because as Maine threw that pitch, Freddie Sanchez was hopping back to the first base bag as though he was expecting Maine to throw over. Maybe he's trying to read Dan's signs. Sanchez not a base stealer.
Oh, that's a little flip. That's a throw over. Whenever you see the catcher flipping like he's knocking off a bottle cap, that's when you want him to throw over to first base.
That sign changed over the years?
Yeah, it used to be a full hand. They give you the full hand down, all 5 fingers.
Sanchez runs, the pitch low inside. Castro's throw a little bit wide, and Sanchez has a stolen base. It's one of those 0-2 2-out stolen bases. Sanchez has his second of the year.
Well, tough pitch to throw here for Ramon. Down, he's expecting that ball outside, got it down and in. That ball scooted to the right side of the bag. Sanchez with the steal. You know that little flip sign? That used to be the sign for put this guy on his rear end.
Exactly.
Throw at him.
But nobody calls that anymore. Another chance for Beltran, and he picks it off to end the inning. So 3 putouts for Beltran, getting Maine through the top of the first. Mets come up against Paul Maholm with no score. Right-hand batters as possible in there against Paul Maholm. Delgado, the only lefty in the lineup, and why not after his 5 RBI night last night, including a 3-run homer against a lefty who's tough for lefties to hit.
Well, Paul Maholm's guy is a sinker ball guy. He's only given up 1 home run in his last 9 starts. 2 games under 500 for his career. 3-0 this season.
Last year 9-9, but he deserved to be a lot better than that on a weak hitting Pirate team. Reyes, 3 hits in his last 2 games, including scoring the game-winning run last night. And he takes a strike 0-2. We'll say with a couple of hits, a stolen base, scored 2 runs in last night's game. Grounded toward the hole and right under the backhand of Ramon Vasquez, and Reyes aboard to lead off the bottom of the first.
Oh, nice job there by Jose Reyes, hitting an 0-2 count. You know, put the ball in play. You never know what can happen. This ground ball just scoots by Vasquez. Even if he made the play, I don't believe he would have been able to throw out Reyes at first base.
And it's a base hit for Jose, so all of a sudden he's starting to get those base hits, and the Mets trying to fashion another first-inning run, and this has been something they've been doing frequently in this ballpark. Mets have played 15 home games. They've scored 26 first-inning runs in those 15 games at Citi Field. Luis Castillo takes a strike. Castillo had 2 hits last night, both infield hits. And he stole a base. Mets stole 2 in the first inning last night to help them score 2 first-inning runs. Maholm's got an odd delivery. He kind of short arms the ball.
Yeah, he's kind of a dart thrower. When you watch this kind of action, that's why he gets that good sink on his fastball. He gets that good bite on his breaking ball. Really stands up straight up and down. Doesn't really push off too hard.
In the dirt, Jaramillo can't find it. Reyes easily to second base. Well, the rookie catcher, Jason Jaramillo, able to knock the ball down, but had no idea where it was.
Well, we saw Diaz last night have some problems. Ball just hits the heel of the glove, Jaramillo. That ball, if you can let that come into your body, you have a better chance of it staying in front of you. Good read by Jose Reyes. There's a reason on this 5-game win streak he has 4 stolen bases, scored a couple runs last night. Makes this ball club get going.
That scored a wild pitch, so runner at second and nobody out. 2-1. Reyes takes off. The pitch outside. Jaramillo's throw, not in time. Reyes steals third. 9th stolen base of the year for Reyes, who's just starting to get going.
You have a team that's struggling. Push the envelope. Be aggressive in the first inning. Picked a good pitch to steal on, too. That curveball in easily at third base. Great jump. You could tell he wanted to go. The second Maholm came to the stretch.
And in the first inning, John Russell's going to bring the infield in with nobody out, with Reyes at third and Castillo at the plate. And it's shot right over the bag. That'll bring home the first run of the game. Castillo will stop at first as it comes off the sidewall. An RBI single for Castillo gives the Mets a quick 1-0 lead. And the Mets score in the first inning yet again.
We talk about it all the time. That curveball drill, remember it? When the curveball comes in, hit it the other way. Nice hitting there by Luis Castillo. And with that jutting out, holds him to a single. And I won't say what Maholm said as I read his lips, but he can't believe he's gotten off to the start.
Well, a ground ball that went under the shortstop's glove. A wild pitch that the catcher couldn't find. Reyes steals third, scores on Castillo's hit, and here's Beltran. And he takes a strike. Carlos 1 for 4 last night, drove in the go-ahead run in the bottom of the 8th inning. Batting left-handed, he hit it right over the third base bag. Mets have done a lot of work with opposite field hits this year, and that was yet another. So far this year, Beltran's had very few at-bats right-handed, as have most of the Met switch hitters. This is only the 4th game that the Mets have faced a left-handed starter. The last time they faced a lefty, night before last, they tore up Jamie Moyer. Paul Maholm, the pride of Holly Springs, Mississippi. Went to Mississippi State, #1 pick by the Pirates. Good breaking ball, and he gets ahead on Beltran 0-2.
Well, my generational player had a lot of good players from Mississippi State. He's got a good breaking ball today. I think that's why Maholm was so in such disdain, because he has such good stuff today. He knows he has good stuff, and there's a run on the board before he even gets a sweat going.
Mississippi State, Will Clark.
Yep.
Jeff Brantley.
Palmeiro. Bobby Thigpen.
Wow, yeah.
He was a hitter, too, as well as a pitcher.
Oh, 2 to Beltran with Delgado to follow. Castillo has stolen a base in each of the last 2 games. Way up high, and Jaramillo able to reach it 1-2.
Well, these first inning runs, Gary, they have a lot to do with the success of the starting pitching, too, because it's nice when you go out there, you already have a run in your pocket, something to work with.
Met starters have had that day after day. Double play ball to short. Vasquez to Sanchez, but a bad throw. That ball just slipped out of the hands of Freddie Sanchez, and that enables Beltran to reach. That should have been a double play.
Well, what happened to Sanchez is that he could not get it out of his glove, and when he couldn't get it out of his glove, he tried to rush it. Watch. Just can't get it out of his glove, and he knows that he's got to rush it now with Beltran running. Nice play by LaRoche to keep it from going into the dugout. Tailor-made, or should have been.
Well, when teams are not playing well, these are the things that happen. This inning should have been over. Instead, the Mets have a run in, 1 out and 1 on, and now Delgado. Well, Carlos, since coming back from the hip injury, has been raging the last 5 games, hitting at .471 with 7 runs batted in the 5 games. Swings and misses, 0-1. Lefties don't have a whole lot of luck against Maholm, but then again, lefties hadn't been doing much against Sean Burnett until Delgado hit one 425 feet last night.
And that's going to cause some concern for Maholm. Watching the game last night, Burnett hung one curveball. That was enough for Delgado.
Fisted down to third. LaRoche gets the out at second. Sanchez this time turns it over cleanly, and the 5-4-3 double play ends the inning. But the Mets scratch out a run as Reyes gets aboard and gets home. And they give John Maine a 1-0 lead. From the Mets, Yankees, and all things New York sports. And this Wednesday, check out NFL legend Michael the Playmaker Irvin as he joins the debate in the Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, weekdays at 5:30 only on SNY.
Are you still the playmaker when you're no longer a playmaker?
It's an excellent question. I guess some things stick forever.
Okay. All right.
Brandon Moss leads off the second inning. And he takes ball 2. Moss had a very rough night last night. Looked very unsure in right field. Went 0 for 4 at the plate. Struck out 3 times. But today is a different day. And John Russell has moved him up a spot on the lineup to hit 5th this afternoon.
Well, I know all my brothers who are crazy Red Sox fans were really heartbroken when they heard that trade, because they really thought that Brandon Moss was going to be real something in the minor leagues. He was an excellent player.
They thought he was going to be the next Trot Nixon.
Trot Nixon, J.D. Drew kind of player, you know. But, you know, we only saw him one night. He's had some injuries, too, in spring training.
Yep. Had knee surgery in the offseason, hurt his thumb in March. So it's been a tough go for Moss, who's hitting just a $185. But, you know, one of the advantages to playing for a small market team, of which very little is expected, is that you can have patience with a guy like Moss, who, if he played in New York, might either be on the bench or in the minor leagues right now. Struck him out. Maine comes back to strike out Moss for his first strikeout of the day. John, who struck out 7 in his last start, a season high, gets his first of this game. 1 out in the second for Andy LaRoche. The younger LaRoche brother, the right-hand hitting LaRoche brother. He went 1 for 4 last night. He has now reached base in 21 straight games. And he takes the slider off the plate.
I just find it so funny. Before the game, you know, the players come out before they take the field. They get loosened up, throw the baseball around.
LaRoche hits one toward the right field corner, and that's going to settle down for an extra base hit. Sheffield plays it out of the corner, and Andy LaRoche stands at second base with his 8th double of the year. Second hit off John Maine.
Well, this is what they've really tried to get Andy LaRoche to do. He can sometimes get kind of pull happy driving this ball to right field. When he uses all the field, that's when his average will start to creep up. I was just saying about Andy before the game. I was watching him play catch, getting loosened up, and he was playing catch with Freddie Sanchez. So if you are playing the big leagues with your brother, wouldn't you play catch with your brother? I would.
Well, you know, their dad played in the majors.
That's right.
Dave LaRoche
played against the dad.
Left-handed pitcher who was known for his la lob pitch. And I know that Adam fooled around with pitching a little bit when he was younger and employed la lob, and maybe Andy just doesn't want to have to deal with this. Here's Ramon Vasquez, and he takes the changeup outside 1-1. Changeup is something that Maine has just never quite mastered. Some days it works, and some days it's just not there for him. 2-1 to Vasquez.
Well, think about it this way. The best changeup on the Mets, of course, is Johan Santana, who has a very short arm action. Okay, when the longer your arm action is, the harder it is to get to the same spot every time with that changeup, which is out in front. You want that ball to really, you want to throw it so you're almost bouncing it on the plate.
Good fastball by Maine on the outside, and it's 2-2. Johan will get his next assignment against the Braves here on Monday night, matched up against Derek Lowe, another marquee pitching matchup. 2-2 to Ramon Vasquez. Lifted foul. Vasquez filling in at shortstop today. Jack Wilson, the regular shortstop for the Pirates, has been out with a finger injury. They started his rehab assignment last night, and they hope to have him back in the lineup on Tuesday.
Bitchler had a nice game last night. Brian Bitchler, a couple of hits.
Double center field fence against J.J. Putz. Or excuse me, against Sean Green. 2-2. With Low on a full count to Vasquez.
Tony Randazzo sees that at Low. That looks like a pretty good pitch to me. Definitely catches all the plate. Remember, for you young guys at home, it's where it crosses the plate, now where Castro catches it.
Ramon framed it nicely. 3-2. Struck him out. Came upstairs with the fastball to get Vasquez. 2 down.
Well, this is the advantage you get when you throw a ball out of the strike zone to a more inexperienced team, a younger team. They can't wait to swing the bat, and sometimes they'll go out of the strike zone.
And as a pitcher, you got to be conscious, right, that hitters see that pitch so well that they think they can hit it even when they can't.
Yeah, and the younger the player, the more apt they are to swing at that pitch. John wasn't trying to throw it there. He really was just trying to throw a strike.
So here's Jason Jaramillo, the rookie catcher, a switch hitter. And he takes ball 1. There aren't a lot of switch hitting catchers around. Of course, the Mets had a great one in Todd Hundley. Ted Simmons was a notable switch hitting catcher. 2-0 to Jaramillo. Jaramillo, who grew up in Wisconsin. And he's going to be intentionally passed here, and the Mets will go after Maholm instead. That's an interesting call here. You got a rookie hitting in the 8-hole.
Well, the one small problem you have here, and you know you're behind him 2-0, so you don't want to give him a cookie 2-0, a fastball to the switch hitting catcher. The only problem you have here is by walking him, that Maholm handles the bat very well. Good athlete.
Sandy Alomar Sr. making the call. And
you see that? See that by Sandy? He took his 2 hands, put them together like the bat. That's telling the catcher, this kid can hit. All right, so we got to make some quality pitches.
You see, the Pirates got off to a good start this year. Their pitching was just extraordinary over those first 18 games of the year, but they also were hitting, and all of a sudden the pitching has gone south a little bit, and the offense has disappeared. Maholm went around, nothing in 1. Maholm 1 for 11 at the plate this year, lifetime 137 hitter. And Maine gets ahead of him 0-2. On 0-2, Maholm watches wide. ball and 2 strikes. John Mayne has celebrated his 28th birthday yesterday. Ready to enter the prime of his career, right? 28 to 32, they always said was a player's prime. I think it's back to being that again. Instead of like 38 to 40.
Exactly. 27 and 28. 26, 27, 28 were primetime years for me here. 28 is that year is the one of the most games. Hasn't met 17 that season. Had a pretty good team behind me.
All right. It's the 1-2. That just misses. And it's 2-2 to Maholm. So Tony Randazzo keeping that strike zone small.
Boy, I saw this as a strike. Backdoor slider by John. Maybe Randazzo thinks it's wrapping around the plate, but that's a pretty good pitch, especially to the opposing pitcher.
You know, it's interesting in the wake of the suspension of Jerry Manuel. Remember, Randazzo was a guy the Mets had a problem with last year. Game, I think it was in Washington, where he missed a few calls at first base, and I think Jerry got ejected in that game as well. And Montague, the crew chief of this unit. Jerry Lane, by the way, appears to be okay after getting smacked in the face by a foul ball last night. 2-2 to Maholm. Lifted to left, chasing Tatis back a couple of strides, and that'll do it for the Pirates in the top of the second. A double and 2 left. David Wright will come up to lead off in the bottom of the second. Mets and John Mayne leading 1-0. Great American lager. Nice look at the Jackie Robinson Rotunda, which no matter what time of the game always seems to have some folks just looking around, taking in the view, looking at the impressive architecture and all the memories of Jackie Robinson that are throughout that rotunda.
It's pretty interesting. I asked my dad and mom if they wanted to come down to see the field to see the game. They said my dad is just, all he cares about is going to the rotunda. That's what he wants to see.
So you're waiting.
Yes, I'm waiting for him to come.
David Wright takes a big cut. David went 0 for 4 last night, but now he's got a lefty on the mound, and boy, he has just been a huge hitter against lefties throughout his career. Look at David's numbers lifetime. 341 against left-handed pitching. There are only 3 active players who have higher batting averages against lefties than David Wright, and one of them is on the other side today, Freddie Sanchez. He's hit .353 against lefties in his career. The other two are Albert Pujols and Ichiro, which is pretty impressive considering Ichiro's a left-handed hitter.
It's interesting, isn't it? You always assume that right-handed hitters will hit better against the left-handed pitching, but a guy like Dan Uggla for Florida, he can't hit left-handed pitching at all.
Right now, he's not hitting much of anybody. Marlins are really struggling. Their team batting average is under 230 now. 2-2, and Wright tries to lay off, and he did stop it in time. Chris Guccione with the call down at first, and it's 3-2.
Good slider down and in by Maholm. They were so strong, able to hold that bat back.
Sheffield and Tatis to follow. 3-2 to Wright, and he just got a piece, fouled it off his leg.
It's a sinker down and in that he hit off the instep. It's interesting, isn't it, that Jaramillo went out to talk to his pitcher? Usually as a catcher, you just want to get right back behind there and have him throw another sinker down and in. Give David any chance to get loose.
Again, the 3-2, and he rips one foul. This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Wright, and he struck him out. Got him with a changeup. So Maholm has his first strikeout of the afternoon.
Another thing that makes Maholm so difficult to hit against is that he can throw all 3 of his pitches. Well, he's got 4 pitches, all 4 of his pitches on any count.
So 1 out and nobody on. And now Gary Sheffield. Sheffield making his 10th start, and you see the numbers, and Gary's been drawing a lot of walks. That's kept his on-base percentage high, but the base hits have been very hard to come by. 0 for his last 7. And he drives this one deep to left field. Morgan moving over, though, and he gets there on the warning track for the second out. I just wonder about Sheffield, a guy who has been used to playing every day throughout his career. He's never been a part-time player before, and you have to wonder how difficult it is for a guy like that who's got such a violent swing to keep that bat sharp, playing only sporadically.
Yeah, you're feeling that it would affect the productions because he can't get a real feel for his swing playing every day.
2 out and nobody on now. Fernando Tatis playing left field today, and he takes a strike.
I think the only way that those things can't affect you is if you embrace that role. Embrace that you're not going to play every day, and try to get as much work on the days you have off, in the cage or batting practice or whatever you get to do that day.
And I think Gary has done that. I think he knew that he wasn't going to play every day when he came here. Tatis is a guy who has found a home in a part-time role, has really understood and thrived in that role where you play 2 days a week.
What I meant by embracing is that embrace it in such a way that you don't fall into the trap if you're not getting hits, that's because I'm not playing. I think that's the key. It's a hard thing to do.
Especially if you've been a star.
Yeah.
If you've been a guy like Tatis who's hit bottom and has bounced back up, it's a little different.
Everything is gravy from now on.
Right. And that certainly is the approach that Fernando has taken from the day he arrived last year. That this portion of his career is all a blessing. Taken outside, it's 2-2. And Tatis has to jump back, 3-2.
Say at home, why is Paul Maholm 3-0 and so successful in his career? Now, he doesn't have great numbers because they don't hit a lot and they don't win a lot of games in Pittsburgh. Pitches to both sides of the plate, makes the hitter move.
Down to third, Knocked down by Andy LaRoche. Plenty of time. Throws across to his brother to end the inning. So Maholm gets the Mets out 1-2-3 in the second. Top of the order coming up for the Pirates against John Maine in the third, with the Mets up 1-0. Stands full. And in addition to the game today, it is also the annual Autism Awareness Day. And as always, we are pleased to have a Pix 11 anchor Jim Watkins with us on Autism Awareness Day. Welcome back.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Ron. It's great to be here again. I think this is it's like 8 years in a row right now, but the need is still there.
Yeah.
Still have to be out here telling people about autism. About how it's impacting so many people everywhere, but also in our community. And it's such a gift for the Mets to be able to help us out the way they do every single year. And, moving over here to Citi Field from Shea, where we had all the previous ones, of course, you would think that the organization would have kind of other things on its mind. They were just as welcoming and helpful to have us here this year.
Nigel Morgan lifts one to left, and Tatis grabs it for the first out. Well, as you say, the need continues as far as autism is concerned. Bring us up to date on where things stand.
Well, research goes on. In fact, just a few weeks ago, there was actually some news that there was a genetic breakthrough, a minor breakthrough, where they're starting to isolate what parts of the genetic structure might have something to do with autism. But for the most part, it has to be said that they don't know what causes it. There's still no cure. There's still a very limited number of treatments and medications and ways of approaching it that you can do to improve how the youngsters are coming along. So you just have to depend on a lot of education, a lot of attention, and a lot of planning for the future. A lot of these children we talk about today are going to be adults, and we're talking about 1 in 150 children getting autism, being diagnosed with autism. Advance that into the future, how many adults is that going to be? So every time that we're able to come out here to Shea and spread the word just a little bit, it helps so much, both through this broadcast and just here at the games. Think about what this does for the children. Autistic children, they don't do well in crowds. A lot of times they have to sort of stay in the shadows. They have to stay home. They just don't get out that much. By having this event here, and the Mets hosting this every year, it's a day when dads can bring their autistic sons to the ballpark, just like dads bring their other sons to the ballpark. It's a wonderful gift, and it's really, the Mets kind of helping us teach a lesson in tolerance and decency and good treatment. And every time we come out here, these children are here, and they may be ill at ease. They're not used to being in an environment like this, but the fans are so welcoming. The staff and the security groups, the security crews here are so welcoming that it's just been, it's always a fantastic day for us.
You mentioned 1 in 150, and as you've been here over the last few years, we've talked about how the incidence has been going up. Is that still the case?
They've been holding on to that 1 in 150 figure for them. a pretty long time now. So I'm hoping that it's not increasing anymore. You know, when I first started doing this, it was 1 in every 166. Then it turned into 1 every 150. And if you start talking about numbers like that, after a while you got, you know, that's one kid in every neighborhood.
Yes.
Is going to have autism, and so that it just, you know, has to be stopped. And then the kids who are already here with autism have to be working on their education, have to you know, work on trying to improve them and doing the best you can to fit them into society later on. It's one reason why, again, just to come back to this, just to be able to get them into an environment where people come and hang out is just it's a wonderful opportunity for them to come out and experience life in the same way that other people do as well.
And there's so many levels and different degrees of autistic behavior, and being able to cope with those different degrees is really a challenge.
To say the least. I always say that there are no two autistic people are alike. They all have completely different characteristics. You will have autistic children who cannot talk.
Sanchez running, and Castro's throw short hops Reyes, and Sanchez has his second stolen base of the game.
My child doesn't have very much speech. That's something we deal with. There are other autistic children with a form of autism called Asperger's who basically can't stop talking. There are autistic people who go to college. Yeah, they'll go to Yale, and there are other autistic children who, of course, have no chance of ever being mainstreamed into regular schools at all. So you're exactly right, Ron. The range makes it that much more difficult because you're not really dealing with one thing. You're dealing with many things.
Nate McLouth at the plate, and he takes low and inside 2-1. I imagine that at this point, with the education that is out there, we're doing a better job of diagnosing kids earlier.
We definitely are. This was autism. We still call it Autism Awareness Day. When this started 8 years ago, it really was. We were like saying there is this thing called autism.
Beautiful short hop play by Castillo, and he throws out McLeod for the second out. Sanchez over to third with 2 away.
At the same time, Gary, it is still worth mentioning that if parents are a little bit worried about their infants, their young children, 1.5 years old, if they're seeing problems in speech not developing, if they're seeing no eye contact between the child and adults, then it's time to go ahead and see your pediatrician and just start asking questions about what you might have here. The last thing you want to do is wait a real long time and just kind of imagine that everything is going to get better. Get it checked out as fast as you can, and if you have to embark on a program of education, then at least you can do it rather than wondering the whole time what it is that's wrong. Go ahead and find out what it is, get early intervention, and that way the child has the best chance of showing improvement later on.
If somebody out there wants to help, what should they do?
I have a nice website for you. In fact, the group that has sponsored this today is a group called Heartsong, which in Westchester County brings the arts and music to autistic children. Heartsong, I guess heartsong.org, HEARTSONG.org will get you there, and that'll at least get you to other websites and other places you can find out more information as well.
Well, it is a great thing that the Mets do here each year, and you have been so committed to the cause. How is Liam doing?
Liam's doing fine. He was down on the field today a little while ago. He's 11 years old now. He's a big, tall kid, and he's doing fine. You know, I was talking with another a parent earlier today, and it's always a tough question to answer because you really can't say, well, you know, he's cured now, but you can say, you know, his behaviors are better. He's staying calm in crowds. It used to be when we brought him to games like this, it'd be very difficult for him. The noise of the crowd, the incredible sensory input that you would get from an environment like this. He's out here today, and he was completely calm. He was completely together, seemed to be enjoying what was going on around him. And that's really all we can ask for at this point, to make sure that he's comfortable, happy, not disoriented, and he's made terrific advances in that regard. And he's a very sweet boy to be around.
John Maine strikes out Adam LaRoche to get out of trouble in the third inning. Jim, it is always a pleasure having you.
Gary, thank you so much. Once again, thanks to you guys and the Mets for having me here. And see you all next year. Appreciate it, guys.
Jim Watkins from Pix 11 on Autism Awareness Day. Mets lead the Pirates 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the third. Paul Maholm. Castro hitting .304 on the year. He has been red hot with the bat over the last 7 games, hitting an even .400, and it about coincides with the stretch of games where he was sitting and Wamir Santos played 5 out of 6. Rolls one out to short for Ramon Vasquez, who throws Castro out, 1 away. Let's check out today's high-speed pitch presented by AT NYN. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. Your world delivered. Maine delivering at 94 will now don a batting helmet. John looking for his first hit of the year. He's gone 0 for 9. And he takes a strike. Still has that 1 home run in his pocket.
Yeah. I was watching them take batting practice the other day, the pitchers, and both he and Beltran went deep. Santana was working on his stroke to hit it the other way.
Still waiting for Santana's first home run.
He's going to get one.
Line and short hopped by Sanchez. 2 out. Mate hits the ball hard. So 2 away. Let's check out the Mets' upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. Final game of this series tomorrow will be on Pix 11. Levon Hernandez against Ian Snell. Then the Braves come in for 3. Johan Santana makes the start on Monday night against Derek Lowe. And after the Atlanta series, the Mets embark on a 10-game road trip, 4 in San Francisco, 3 in L.A. And, of course, you start a trip in San Francisco and L.A., you finish it in Boston.
That's right. The traditional road trip.
Here's a strike to Jose Reyes.
Where those days go where it used to be San Francisco, San Diego, L.A.
Well, that makes way too much sense. Reyes singled, took 2nd on a wild pitch, 3rd on a stolen base, and scored on Castillo's base hit, and the Mets had the only run of this game so far. Reyes all of a sudden these last few days doing a little more of his Reyes thing, getting on base and getting home.
But going back to that pocket schedule, I shouldn't complain because I'm not going to San Francisco. There's certain towns, because of seniority, I'm not allowed in. San Francisco, that's where Keith grew up. Florida, because we've talked about that many times. Can't go to Florida.
And how'd you end up in St. Louis?
Well, that was a blip. Someone made a mistake there.
But you get to go to L.A.
I do.
Because you used to live in it.
That's right.
So you have some seniority. Popped up, shallow center. Morgan and McLeod. Then McLeod takes charge to end the inning. So that's 8 in a row now retired by Paul Maholm. Got a pretty good pitcher's duel going, and got a pretty good hitter coming in. Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner, whose name is on the door of the booth. He joins us in the booth when we come back. 1-0 Mets. Browse the largest selection of authentic team gear, including clubhouse caps and t-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and more. Get your team gear straight from the source. ShopTheMets.com shop. We head to the fourth inning in what is turning into a pitcher's duel. The Mets leading 1-0. Ralph, how would you have loved to hit here at Citi Field?
Well, it's really a small park compared to what I hit in Forbes Field. It was 457 in center field in Forbes Field. And down the left field line, it was 360, and here it's 335. So this is kind of bandbox.
Now, you were able to reach the fences there, and you didn't use performance-enhancing drugs. So what's changed that guys need smaller ballparks now to hit home runs?
Well, I don't know. The game has changed considerably. The balls are different. The bats are different now, and all the way around it's different. And, of course, the dimensions of the ballpark have a lot to do with how many you do hit. And I got a real break when Greenberg came to the Mets, to the Pirates, and he came over and they built an inside fence for him called Greenberg Gardens. And that made the home runs reasonably close. 335 down the line and about 385 in the left center field.
Wait a second. Why didn't they do that for you?
Because I was a young kid and didn't know any better.
They hadn't invented Kiner's Corner yet.
No, I got that. That's where the name came from. It was changed from Greenberg Gardens to Kiner's Corner. He played with the Pirates 1 year, his last year in baseball, and he had 25 home runs, which is not bad for a guy that had a bad wrist and spent 4 and some years in the service.
Castillo gets in front of the grounder from Moss and throws him out, 1 away. Well, it's not the most ever by a guy in his last season. Didn't Kingman hit 35 his last year?
Yeah, it changed. Well, again, you got a different circumstance. I don't think Kingman hit the ball any farther than Hank Greenberg. Greenberg hit 58 home runs without steroids.
I'm just saying that Kingman hit 35 and nobody wanted him the next year. It's kind of an odd circumstance.
I wonder why.
You can tell me better than I can tell you.
I was there.
Andy LaRoche gets drilled, and he'll go to first base. I guess Dave didn't always have the greatest disposition.
Well, when he put that cat in the mailbox, everybody was happy with that one. And the cat came out screaming, boy, he was something else.
And I will tell you, every time I'm in Lake Tahoe, I'll see Dave around. And he couldn't be.
He's the nicest guy in the world, yeah.
Any nicer.
Well, he said to me in Cincinnati one time, you know, what did you do about the writers that got all over you? I said, I liked it. He said, what do you mean when you liked it? I said, well, they're writing about me. They know me now all over the country.
That's right.
So you believed in the theory that there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Well, just spell my name right. That's about it. Yes, you were talking earlier about LaRoche and his dad being a pitcher, and that lob thing, lob.
La lob.
We know where the original pitch came from, Rip Sewell, and he had a blooper pitch, and he threw it 30 feet high in the air. It was the most amazing pitch in the world, and batters did everything in the world trying to hit it, and never could, and he could throw it for strikes. And Rip Sewell called it the blooper ball. And I'll tell you, one of the funniest things I ever saw, Eddie Miller was a shortstop for the Cincinnati Reds. He could not hit that pitch. And one time he caught it barehanded and fumbled it back to the box. And Sewell caught the ball and then ended up back in the mound and started ready to pitch.
And he could throw strikes with it.
And he could throw strikes.
So it was higher, like I've watched slow pitch softball. It was higher than that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm not kidding you. It was 30 feet high. And he could get it over. That's the most amazing thing of that.
Didn't Ted Williams hit a home run again?
He did in the All-Star game. And Rip Sewell swears, well, he can't swear anymore because he's not dead at the present time. But he swears he told Williams that it was going to be thrown to him if the game was out of hand. And the game was over. It was in his last at bat. In the double step. And hit the ball, and he hit it out of the batter's box. So that would be illegal in baseball law. But he did hit one out of the ballpark. He's the only one I ever saw do that.
2-1 to Ramon Vasquez with 1 out and 1 on. And Maine throws a strike, 2-2.
There was another fellow that had one of those lob pitches, and that was a guy named Hamilton.
Oh, Steve Hamilton.
Yeah.
Right?
And he would throw that, but nothing like Rip Rules. And also another guy had a hesitation pitch, and that was Satchel Paige. And he would stop his motion and then throw the ball after he'd gone into it, which theoretically was a balk, but he never was called. Louis Tiant had also a strange-looking move, as he would take and pause on the way down and stop about 4 or 5 times.
On 2-2, hit to short, should be a double play. Reyes to Castillo, on to first, not in time. Vasquez beat it out. And that keeps the inning alive.
Well, that's too bad. That would have been a rare double play for John Maine, who is a fly ball pitcher, doesn't get a lot of ground balls. Good enough speed by Vasquez. You see Castillo uses the bag as a buffer and can't get enough on the throw to get Vasquez to first base.
So Vasquez aboard with 2 out, and the number 8 hitter, Jason Jaramillo, who was intentionally walked his first time up. And he takes a strike.
You were talking about switch hitters as catchers. The best in the business by a long shot. He was the best. Ted Simmons.
Yeah, right.
He was a power type switch hitter and hit a lot of home runs. He was really one of the great hitters.
And
of course, Mantle wasn't bad either,
yeah.
but it was amazing.
Of course, we didn't even mention Jorge Posada, a great
That's
switch
right.
hitting catcher.
How about the third baseman with the Houston Ball Club? He has the highest batting average of any switch hitter.
Are you talking about the outfielder, Lance Berkman?
No, yeah, Burton Wiley plays
Yeah.
infield end.
Lance Berkman, he's outstanding.
He had a better batting average than Mantle. Of course, Mantle was a much better home run hitter.
Of course, switching third baseman. The Braves had a pretty good year last year.
Yeah, Chipper Jones, he's not too bad.
He's up there. He's pretty good as far as switch hitting. Yeah.
364 last year.
And the guy in the Hall of Fame wasn't bad as Frankie Fritz, but he was more or less a singles hitter and could run like crazy. He graduated from Fordham, one of the few that graduated from college that played in the major leagues.
Reyes picks it out of the air. That ends the inning. So Maine works around the hit batsman. He's thrown up 4 zeros. Castillo, Beltran, and Delgado coming up in the bottom of the 4th with the Mets up 1-0. a very relaxed-looking Jerry Manuel hanging out in Omar Minaya's booth during the game today. Jerry's sitting out a 1-game suspension, and he looks like he's having a great time.
It's got to be strange, though. That's your team, and they're down there playing, and you got the day off.
I mentioned Frankie Price. He lived in New Rochelle, and we'd play a doubleheader in the polo grounds or Evansville. He tried to get thrown out of ball games so he could go home. And the umpires wouldn't throw him out, no matter what he did. He said, we're going to be out here, the umpires, they said, we're going to be out here for both games, and so are you.
Luis Castillo's driven in the only run of this game with a first-inning single. Hit it right up in the first base bag, batting right-handed. I just finished reading a book, Ralph, about the Gas House Gang, and talked about what a hard-nosed manager Frankie Frisch was.
He was tough.
How he butted heads with Dizzy Dean.
I played for him. And I'll tell you, he was one of the toughest managers I ever saw. And, of course, that Gas House game with Pepper Martin and Dizzy Dean, Paul Dean, first base, Rick Collins, they really had some real tough guys.
Joe Medwick, who apparently nobody liked.
Ducky Medwick, they called him, but nobody liked him. He used to meet he was mad all day long. He never got nice.
He was the angriest man.
Oh, yeah. And then he came over to the Brooklyn Dodgers and got beamed by a guy named Bowman.
And Castillo has his second hit of the afternoon. After Maholm had retired 8 in a row. So the Mets get the leadoff man on in the bottom of the fourth.
Right here, fastball right where you want it. If you're a type of hitter that Castillo is.
This is where the catcher wanted it, Ralph. Let's see where it ended up.
Well, it's right down the middle.
Yeah.
He wanted it right down the middle, and he got it there.
And your IOTV pitch differential. But that Gas House Gang, just reading that book, the personalities on that team were fascinating. It was 1934, it was during the Depression, and Pepper Martin was a guy who was homeless for years, riding the rails. As Beltran gets one up the middle for a base hit, the Mets have the first 2 men on.
Well, Pepper Martin was they said Pete Rose was a belly slider. Pepper Martin was sitting his belly all the time. He was one of the first of all to ever do that. And of course, everyone talks about Rose, but Martin was that type of player. So he could run. He was really tough.
So he's the one we blame.
That's right.
Carlos Delgado coming up with 2 men on. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin.
Guys, Mets first base coach Louis Alicea, one of the things he does, one of the responsibilities is obviously is base running. He's got that stopwatch in his back pocket, which is now in his left hand, and he times a pitcher's delivery to home plate. And he said there's a lot that goes into stealing a base. I want the guys to be aggressive, but you also have to be smart. You have to go by motion. You have to go by leg kick, the right pitch, things like that. There you see Louis. He's got the stopwatch. And he said when he times the delivery to home, there's different things. It depends on every pitcher. Basically, it's first movement home. But with a lefty, essentially it's when the leg will kick up and you're sure that he's going home. That's what you time it by. And he said different runners, different speeds. Normally you like it to be about 1.35, 1.40 to steal a base. Said a guy like Jose Reyes, if everything goes right, he could steal it on 1.2. Carlos Beltran, sometimes he gets criticized for not stealing more. He's got that very high percentage, but he said, you know what? Beltran knows when to run. He's very comfortable in a certain time frame, and that's when he goes.
Of course, the other thing about stealing bases is it's a wear and tear in your body. It really is tough to take, and Maury Wells had lacerations all over him. He stole 104 bases.
Well, I think that's why Ricky Henderson was able to do it. He was built like a fullback. He was able to take a lot of that abuse.
Well, he wanted to be a football player rather than a baseball player to start with. But that's one of the real problems in stealing bases, is your body gets beat up.
I would think even more so sliding head first, Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
It always helps, too. Kevin was talking about Luis Alicea. 81 steals in the big league, so he's been there, done that. It's nice to have coaches that have done it on the big league level. Really can help your players today.
One of the most amazing things is that Lou Brock said he'd rather face a left-hand pitcher and steal than a right-hand pitcher, and that was unheard of.
Delgado fouls it off.
How about Crawford? Well, let's put him in the equation.
He's on his way to 100 this year if he keeps going.
And again, it's a body, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you really do get beat up.
He's another former football player, so he's got that kind of body that can take some of that punishment.
The great thing about that 6 stolen base game for Carl Crawford is that all of them were in the context of the game.
Yes.
It wasn't like he was stealing when there were 6 runs up or 6 runs down. It's a close game, and all those stolen bases counted. 2-2 to Delgado, and he got him with a fastball, so Maholm has his second strikeout. And true to form, Maholm's gotten Delgado to ground into a double play and struck him out.
You know, one time in baseball, if you took an extra base when you were on base, on the bases, they gave you credit for a stolen base. And Hamilton, Billy Hamilton, an old-time player, had a lot of stolen bases that were credited that way rather than actually stealing the base. So you went from first to third, you get credit for a stolen base for going to third base rather than just down to second.
Well, that's good to know. Now I have 4 in my career.
You got 4 now?
No.
Here's David Wright, who struck out his first time up.
And David is really having a tough time with right-hand pitchers throwing curveballs low and away. And if you watch him, he pulls off the ball. That shoulder opens up. His right shoulder comes around the head of his body, and it makes it difficult to hit curveballs low and away. And the only way he really basically can do it well is to hit the other way, to the opposite field.
And it does help, I guess, facing a left-hander because he wears out the left-hander coming into you, right?
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately for him, the Mets have only seen 4 left-handers so far this year.
Now Maholm falls behind him 2-0.
David was struck out in the changeup his first time up.
Now batting with 2 aboard, and David bloops one into right center. That'll fall for a base hit. Around third is Castillo to score. Beltran goes first to third. David Wright's RBI single has given the Mets a 2-0 lead.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but it certainly was effective as he gets a run batted in. Right now with 16 RBIs for the year. And he slices that ball off the right field, hitting the ball almost off the trademark of the bat.
Kind of an inside-out swing, right, Ralph?
Basically, I think was looking for something off speed and got jammed with a pitch, and then still managed to muscle it out to the outfield.
Beltran able to go first to third, so he's at third base with 1 out. 3 hits in the inning. Gary Sheffield, the batter, lined out to left his first time up.
Here's a look at David Wright's swing here on this pitch. It's inside, and he kind of muscles it out, hits it on the trademark of the bat, and drops it into shallow center field.
One thing I noticed from that side view, though, does have wonderful balance, and that really is a power position he gets in right before the ball gets there.
Well, he's very strong, even though he has a small type body. He's not one of those guys like Ortiz or somebody like that.
Holtz.
Yeah, big, strong guys that weigh about 230.
Sheffield with the base hit through the hole, and that brings home Beltran to make it 3-0. So 4 hits in the inning off Paul Maholm. And Sheffield, who has been scrambling for base hits, finds a hole.
Well, the good thing about this, just well placed by Gary Sheffield. Maholm in the at-bats, trying to get a ground ball, trying to get a double play. Just out of the reach of Andy LaRoche.
Ralph, you've been watching Sheffield for a long time, and that violent swing of his. We were talking about this earlier about a guy who's been used to playing every day his entire career. Now he's a part-time player, and what it's like to try and keep your swing intact when you're playing 2 days out of 7.
Well, one of the things they can do now, which they never could do in the past, is they can go under the stands, and there's a batting throwing pitching, Iron Mike, and you can hit in the stands while the game is going on. I used to go down when I wasn't in a starting role at the end of my career. I did take quite a few days off. I used to go down in the locker room and hit ping pong balls and have someone throw them to me, and you can do all kinds of things with those balls. And it sharpens your eye to put the bat in the ball when that ball is curving.
Here's Tatis, still only one out of the inning. And Fernando takes a big rip, 0-1. Well, you know, now they've got this, what do they call it? The ocular machine that Ryan Church was talking about last night, with the balls with the numbers on them, and they throw them at 160 miles an hour, and you have to read the number on the balls.
You can't do it. I don't think you can. Anybody tells you they can read those numbers at 160 miles an hour is telling you maybe a possible lie.
I love it. I love it. Get through that conspiracy, Ralph. I love it.
You're telling me that whoever's selling the machine is selling them a bill of goods.
He's selling them two ways: bill of goods and also something else. Well, they had guys that did that a long time ago, even when I was playing, and it did sharpen your reflexes. There's no question about that. I know when I was in the Navy Air Corps, we had to identify all kinds of ships with a hundredth of a second to see a flash on the screen. And it did sharpen you up. There's no question about that. You had to identify whether the ship you were looking at was an enemy ship or a friendly ship.
So that graphic, the Mets all of a sudden getting hit after hit with runners in scoring position. A couple already in this inning. 12 for their last 20. It's a big issue the first couple of weeks of the season. Now all of a sudden it's going the other way.
Well, I think if you have to identify those numbers, there's got to be repercussions to make sure that you identify right? Maybe a little dunk tank or something in case you don't get the right number.
I think you got to be told ahead of time what the numbers are.
Spit them all out at once.
0-2 to Tatis. And he just got a piece of that. The mask off Jaramillo.
When you take that top hand off the bat, you can hit that catcher pretty hard. That's one of the things about the old guys that taught hitting. They say take the top hand off the bat, and that ruined more catchers than anybody else.
Yeah, they didn't have the helmet in those days.
That's
just
right.
The ball cap.
Maholm, this is way outside. It's quite an effort by Jaramillo just to reach that ball.
Boy, he saved at least two runners moving up, one base anyway. That was a great play.
Yeah, breaking ball that never broke. Stab of a backhand by the catcher. You don't see that very often.
Now the 1-2. Full foul. He's having himself quite a bat here.
Tatis has a very good stance to top it. He's just square off all the way around. And he had a great year for the Mets after they ran out of baseball for 2 years.
Well, everyone has a different timing technique. Huh, Ralph? And for Fernando, if you watch him, he kind of raises that bat and his arms in the air 2 or 3 times before the pitch comes.
That's to loosen up his arms and muscles. You want those muscles that don't really freeze up and be loose. There goes the runners.
And a bloop, shallow center, falling fast, in for a base hit. Wright racing home to score. On to third goes Sheffield. 5 hits in the inning have produced 3 runs. And the Mets have a 4-0 lead.
Well, the Mets not hitting the ball hard, but certainly well placed. They have had 2 bloop hits here. They really drove in some big insurance runs.
Wright's trying to steal the base here, so he loses track of where the baseball is. Finally picks it up.
He had that base stolen, there's no doubt about it. He got a great break off at second base. had the base over at third, and then after finding the ball, he came in to score.
So now Castro, first and third, still only one out. 5 singles in the inning. Castillo, Beltran, and then RBI hits by Wright, Sheffield, and Tatis have given the Mets a 4-0 lead. Castro bounced to short his first time up. And Maholm falls behind him 2-0. So for Paul Maholm, who began the day 3-0 with a 2.97 ERA, the Mets are dinking and dunking him to death.
The old hit him where they ain't is really the answer, huh?
Ronnie, when you pitch for a team that just doesn't score any runs and then you have an inning like this, you can't help but feel, can't you, that you got no chance to win this game.
Well, you almost got to be stronger mentally when you pitch for a team that's struggling to hit the baseball and score runs. You know, you got to stay focused and say to yourself, okay, I've given up 4 runs. I haven't been hit very hard, but I still got to get a ground ball and get out of this inning.
You know,
give the team a chance even though they're not scoring.
I played with the Pirates in 1952 when they lost 112 games in a 154 game schedule. Wow, we did a lot of this. A lot of. Now the Pirates are on their way of tying their all-time record of having a losing season for 17 consecutive years. The record now held by the Phillies all by themselves.
And it goes all the way back to 1993. If you remember the 1992 team, 2 free agents to leave that team, Barry Bonds and Doug Drabek. Have been the same since.
Well, you know what ended their run was Francisco Cabrera.
Yeah.
A big hit to win Game 7 of the LCS for the Braves.
Scored Sid Bream just ahead of the tag of Mike LaValliere.
Why was Bonds playing so deep?
You know,
Well,
yeah, and to this day, Andy Van Slyke tells the story that he told Bonds to move in, and Bonds ignored him, which seems pretty
shocking.
And Andy would tell you anything. That's one thing about him. He was an outstanding player for the Pirates, Andy Van Slyke.
Great center field. Here's the 2-1 to Castro, and it's up high, and Maholm in danger of loading the bases. Got John Maine waiting on deck.
You know, Ralph, you make a good point because we were talking about here's the numbers for Paul Maholm. Make a good point. So you're on the team that loses 112 games. Mentally, we talked about Maholm staying in the game. Well, you had to stay in the game, you know, and produce. Even though it's a team sport, it's a lot of individual pursuits in the game of baseball.
You were really right. You have to really concentrate and push yourself because when you're behind all the time, it gets to be a very bad game.
Yeah.
It's a tough game to play on a losing team.
Gets old, as they say.
Does it get old?
Well, you see some of the particulars on Ralph's career. 369 home runs in only 10 seasons. Wow.
When I quit playing baseball, I was 6th of the all-time home run list. Now I think I'm about 110th.
That's a shame.
It has something to do with the pill.
It has to do with a few pills, I think.
Well, that raises an interesting question, Ralph. I mean, you were a great home run hitter in your day, a home run champion 7 times. When you hear the news about guys like Manny Ramirez and Alex Rodriguez and, you know, guys who have reached the 500 home run plateau and now it turns out that they've had some artificial help to do it, how does it make you feel as a guy who was part of that fraternity?
I think you just have to accept what is going on, but you certainly don't like it. You like to have the game played the same way all the time. In other words, no additional help, no outside activities or anything else that gives you an advantage that you didn't have. And there's a resentment, no doubt about it, but you have to learn to live with that, and you can't do anything about it.
How do you feel about as Maine shoots one to the first baseman and everybody gets back? As LaRoche picked it off for the second out. As a member of the Hall of Fame, how do you feel about the future prospects for these guys when their turn comes up?
I think there's no question in my mind that they should not be in the Hall of Fame. And I think I have a real strong ally in that decision, in as much as Bob Feller is the same way. course, Feller was one of the great pitchers. He threw harder than anybody I ever saw, including any present-day pitchers. And he had one of the great curveballs. And he missed 4 years in the service. He was a 20-game winner, 4-1 in the war, and World War II I'm talking about. And when he got out for it, and some years later, he was also a 20-game winner.
And Reyes takes outside, 1-1. Reyes, the 9th man up in the inning. Already has a base hit today, stolen a base, scored a run. That's with 3 runs home in the 4th, a 4-0 lead, and a base hit here, a chance to really break this game open. And it's way up high, and Maholm having to throw a lot of pitches in this inning.
Got a young man pitching frustrated out there. That's what you have.
38 pitches in this inning already, and not done yet. 2-1 to Reyes. There's a strike. I'm sure Jose thought so. 2-2.
I thought this was a good pitch. How about you, Ralph?
I think it's a strike right there, but this umpire is a little erratic, to say the least.
Tony Randazzo calling the balls and strikes today. Bases loaded, 2 down, 2-2 to Reyes. Fouled away.
And one thing about umpires, you learn to know which ones are ones you can depend upon to call pitches about the same way all the time, and the others that aren't. And you better keep that in mind when you hit.
Up the middle, base hit for Reyes. In to score is Sheffield. Here comes Tatis. A 2-run single for Reyes. And the Mets now with a 6-0 lead.
And once again, another hit that was hit off the fist and not hit well. And the Mets are having one of those innings.
Well placed, though. Remember, the 2-1 pitch was the same kind of pitch they took for a strike. This time makes the adjustment. And you love seeing Jose from both sides of the plate using the middle of the diamond.
That ball barely rolled to the outfield at all. But they all count.
Mets with 6 hits in the inning. And for the second straight day, they have a 5-run inning. They scored 5 in the 8th last night to win. And now 5 runs in the 4th inning this afternoon. And now Castillo, who led off the inning by punching a single to right, is up for the second time. And breaks his back, grounds it down to third. Andy LaRoche throws him out to end the inning. But 10 men came to bat. And the Mets string together 6 hits to score 5 runs, giving John Maine a 6-0 lead heading to the 5th. fancy on us. It's a riddle.
Who's this? Frank Gorshin did this one?
A man leaves home, makes 3 left turns, then returns home where 2 men with masks are waiting for him. Who are the 2 men with masks?
I like that.
It's a nice baseball riddle for a Saturday afternoon.
It is. It's our kids' riddle today.
Yeah. John Mayne takes the mound for the 5th inning. He had a lot of time to rest as the Mets strung together 6 hits to produce 5 runs in the 4th inning. And Paul Maholm's going to stay on and bat for himself.
Well, he had a long discussion we were watching with Joe Kerrigan and John Russell, the manager. Joe Kerrigan, the pitching coach, and got a lot of slaps on the back. Said, "Listen, kid, we know that they didn't pound you out there. Keep going. You know it's 6-0."
And he's the young ace on this team.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, I think you think about it in these terms. You look at John Mayne, who's a couple of years older than Paul Maholm. And John's never been asked to be the ace of a major league staff, whereas Maholm, who probably slots about the same as Mayne on a good team as a number 3 type guy, is being asked to carry the load as being the number 1 starter.
Well, I hate to talk about these kind of things, but in '87, Doc went down. Dwight Gooden went down to rehab. We lost him. And I was elevated to a number 1, and I failed miserably. I won 12 games that year. I went a long stretch. I don't know, it was 13 or 14 starts without a win. And just in my own mind, I was trying to elevate my game, and what I should have been doing is just not even thinking about that kind of stuff, executing pitches, and just trying to give my team the best chance to win. I was trying to be dominant out there, and it just backfired.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? Because on any given day, the only number 1 starter is the guy who started that day, right?
That's what where were you? I needed that piece of advice then.
I'll tell you, it's really tough to play in a bad ball club. So if you're a big guy, it's you carry a big load. How about Ernie Banks? He never played in the World Series. Here's a guy that's one of the great players.
Maholm hits one deep to right. Back goes Sheffield looking up, and it's out of here. How about that? Paul Maholm hits a home run. He hits it over the Modell sign, the first one that's been hit there at Citi Field. It's his first career home run, and it puts the Pirates on the board.
I told you he was a threat.
It also was his first run batted in, so he hit the jackpot.
That is a part of the ballpark that I don't think we thought we were going to see very many home runs at all, and it's a pitcher who gets the first one out there.
And he gets it off of sporting goods stores.
Well, I bet you Paul Maholm never thought that he was going to have a smile on his face today, but one generated there by that pitch, and no smile there from John.
You know, would you think he's going to be happy tonight now that he hit the home run?
No, he won't be happy unless it leads to a comeback.
Nyjer Morgan takes a strike, 1-1. Well, you never know what's going to happen in this game, right?
Excellent move not to replace him, by the way.
He knew something, didn't he?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, for Maholm, that was his 207th career at bat, his first major league home run. Morgan lifts one down the left field line, and Tatis has room to make the grab, 1 away. So 1 out and nobody on.
Well, the all-time record for home runs by a pitcher in his major league career is 38. And the man who did it is not in the Hall of Fame. He should be. His name was Wes Ferrell. And his brother is in the Hall of Fame, and he was not the hitter he was.
Sanchez goes deep to right center. Beltran back in the gap, and he runs it down. Nicely done by the Gold Glover Beltran for the second out.
Well, we saw in the paper today where Dominic DiMaggio died at the age of 92 or 3. What was it, 92?
92.
The little professor.
And he was an outstanding center field player. And right there you saw one in center field that can run and catch balls in center field well.
He's gotten 14 outs today, 8 by way of the fly ball.
Dominic DiMaggio, a better defensive center fielder than his brother?
Dominic was not as good as Joe DiMaggio, but nobody was. And I'll tell you this, Vince DiMaggio, and I played with him, was also a great center fielder, and maybe had a better arm than Joe DiMaggio, and maybe was as good or almost as good as Joe. Dominic is the third brother, and I don't think he was right in that realm.
Vince was the oldest of the three, right?
Vince was. He could sing, I'll tell you that. He should have been an opera singer.
1-2 to McLouth, misses 2-2.
One of the brothers they lost in the war, right, Ralph?
Paul was killed in World War II, and I believe it was World War II, and I never saw him or heard anything about him, but they say he was better than Joe. But there's no way they can prove that to me.
Well, they used to sing in Boston, better than his brother Joe, Dominic DiMaggio. McLouth pops up to Reyes. That ends the inning. Paul Maholm disappointed on the mound in the bottom of the fourth, but rewarded at the plate in the top of the fifth. His first major league home run and the first one hit over that Modell side. Mets lead at 6-1. Beltran had a base hit in the 5-run fourth inning for the Mets. Last Pirate pitcher to homer before Paul Maholm, Matt Morris 2 years ago. Best thing that Matt Morris did as a Pirate, unfortunately.
Well, it was interesting when they brought Matt Morris over there, who's a fine pitcher, accomplished pitcher, great years in St. Louis, then hurt his arm, came back. I think they wanted to bring him to Pittsburgh, kind of a tutor these younger pitchers.
Hit in the air to deep left field. Back goes Morgan to the track. Back at the wall. It's out of here. Into the second deck. Carlos Beltran with his 6th home run of the year. And now it's 7-1 New York.
Well, we're seeing home runs today go places we have not seen them go before at Citi Field. First one to reach that second deck and stay there in left.
I was going to say, that has to be the first one in the second deck. And his fastball, and he hits it as well as you can hit it. So this might not be a pitcher's favorite when it gets warm and humid.
Well, that pitch that was placed where it was, as we'll see in the pitch differential, take it from me, because I've thrown a lot there, those always go a long way out of the ballpark.
Delgado grounds one right at Sanchez, playing deep. And that's the first out of the inning.
Okay, this is the longest home run that we have seen so far, at least I have seen so far. And the fastball belt high, and the angle as you see the ball going is the right angle for distance.
Well, that's a beautiful swing, too.
It's
right?
a great swing. Of course, Beltran has one of the best swings you ever want to watch.
He's now hit 6 home runs, 3 from each side of the plate, even though he's had far more at bats left-handed. David Wright pops one up. Sanchez making the call, and there are 2 out.
You know, it's almost unfortunate that the Mets don't see more left-handed starting pitching, because when you look at this lineup, and Jerry has talked about it, boy, this is where they have the most power. Castillo's more of a power threat from the right side. Beltran, of course, we just witnessed. Sheffield's in the lineup. Tatis is in the lineup. Castro catching today. A threat up and down the lineup of guys who can go deep.
The only one that might not agree with you is Delgado.
That's right, because left-handed.
He's a left-hand batter.
Here's Sheffield, who drove in a run with a base hit his last time up. 1 for 2 on the day. Carlos has a lot of home runs against lefties in his career.
Yes, he's not a give-up. There's no question about that. He's had a lot of home runs, period, but certainly has had his share off left-hand pitching.
It's nice to see, to tell you the truth. The Mets having some smiles on their faces. You know, that's all good stuff in the course of a long season.
Well, the Mets came in there happy because they have won 5 in a row.
Yeah.
On their way, hopefully, to a 6-game winning streak.
I will tell you, there's nothing like the feeling of getting on a roll as a team. Is there, Ralph? You just start to feel good about yourself. Every single day someone comes to the ballpark and gets the big hit. Starting pitching every day is getting you deep in the game.
Sheffield has another base hit. And so Gary's 2 for 3, and he's hitting the ball hard.
Right here is hits that he has, and it's a good one. Gives him time to readjust on the off-speed pitch. And he still is able to keep enough of his hands and arms into that swing to get a base hit. He had already moved his body up, thinking fastball or something faster than a changeup.
But he's so strong that even being fooled and out on his front foot, he can hit a line drive.
That's very true. And he, of course, has had 500 home runs in the major league career. That has been outstanding.
Tatis muscles one out to right. Over goes Moss, and he makes the catch just inside the line to end the inning. But after the pitcher Maholm homered in the top of the inning, Beltran comes right back and negates that in the bottom of the 5th. His 6th home run of the year lands on the second deck. And after 5, it's 7-1 New York. Joe Beningo will have all the New York sports drama covered as they go head-to-head with the Daily News beat writers behind the hottest stories on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, weekdays at 5 p.m. right here on SNY.
What's Joe doing there, Ralph? The merengue? Or what is that?
I think he invented a new dance.
Adam LaRoche leading off in the 6th inning for the Pirates against John Mayne, who allowed the solo homer by his opposite number Maholm in the last inning, and that's it. A run on 3 hits over the first 5 innings. John has walked 2. He's struck out 3. And LaRoche rolls over 1. And Castillo throws him out, 1 away. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt.
Guys, Howard Stern fans know exactly who this guy is. It's Gary Dell'Abate, the producer for 25 years for the Stern Show, also Baba Booey. We all know you by that as well. You are also the host here of Autism Awareness Day at Citi Field. How did that come about?
Jim Watkins' wife gave me a call, Jim Watkins from CW11 News at Night, and she said, we could sell a lot of tickets if you would come up to the suite and be the host and throw out the first pitch. So we started talking about the first pitch on the air, and Artie, who works on our show, is a big Yankee fan, was giving me a lot of grief about it. And we talked about how nervous I was throwing it out, and that generated a lot of people buying tickets to come and see me. And in case you're wondering, I blew it.
How did that go? I know there was a lot of stuff going on the other, so much so that you had a certain call from a certain psychologist.
One of our listeners was a sports psychologist, so he called me, and I was on my way home one day, so I talked to him for 40 minutes in the car. Obviously, it didn't help.
Yeah, all that counseling, it didn't really work. It's a great. What do you like best about the cause?
I love that they not only raise money because they need money for education, because it's really a lifelong thing that needs to be dealt with, but they're trying to raise awareness. And I tell anybody, if you just sort of Google autism, if you don't know enough about it, just Google it and find out more about it, because I'm sure somebody, you must know somebody who's affected with it, and that's a big thing.
We don't have a monitor in front of us. We're going to show the pitch, Gary. Actually, we do have a monitor up here. See if we can show the pitch. We're in a little bit delay after this pitch from Maine that's fouled back. So we'll see if we can take a look at the beauty of this first pitch. And here we go. What are you thinking right now? Wow. I
was really hoping that would not end up on television. So embarrassed.
I mean, that's, they tell you not to bounce it, but they also, I don't know that anybody ever told you not to throw it into the stands either.
The good news was I had the distance. The bad news was I hit the umpire.
You are, as we said, the producer of the Howard Stern Show. You've done that for many, many years. As Mosk has won a ride, Beltran will haul in for the second out. The most challenging thing, the most fun thing about doing that incredible job?
Is that every day is a different day. Like, I could come to work one day. One day I went to work and I found out Howard was running for governor. Like, we just decided that during the show, and suddenly I was the producer of the show and a campaign manager. But everything's not scripted out, so any day could bring something new. People can just show up, and that's the most exciting part about it. That's what makes it fun.
And you're a diehard Met fan. You don't have the shirt on just because you're here. You're a big Met fan. So before we let you go, what do you like about what you're seeing on the field here?
This is a beautiful park. I love everything about it. I love all the nuances of it. I love that it's like an old school park. And I love that the Mets are sort of waking up and starting to have a nice little run here. And I hope this is the year. You know what? I'm waiting for the year, and I'm hoping this is it.
Garrett, thanks for being involved in the great cause, and thanks for not pitching in the Mets bullpen.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Good to see you.
Guys, back to you.
And when you wake up Monday morning, you will be hearing Howard never letting Gary hear the end of that pitch. He's going to hear about that for the next 2 years.
Well, I'm going to pull a Rick Peterson on you, Gary. Forget about the sports psychologist. Come to me. I'll be fixed in 10 minutes.
We had a sports psychologist with the Cubs. We were losing a lot of games, so they brought him in. And he said, you got to be positive. You got to think you can get the batters out if you're a pitcher. Someone said, I forgot who it was, as he raised his hand, what if I'm pitching at Sam Mirzo and he thinks I can hit him? and Mirzo, he's going to be thinking that he can hit anyone.
Line to left, right at Tatis, who makes the lunging grab. A scorcher, and Tatis stays with it to get Andy LaRoche and end the inning. A 1-2-3 inning for John Mayne as we take another look at Baba Booey's errant toss. Watch out, Tony Randazzo, it's coming your way. Oh, Howard's going to have a field day.
Nice play here, right, Ralph?
Very good play. And Tatis has been an infielder and an outfielder, and he is certainly not unqualified to play the outfield.
Well, let's answer our Aflac trivia question. We gave a little riddle today.
If you're over 10, you can't answer it, by the way.
3 left turns, return home, 2 men with masks. Who are those men with masks?
How about an umpire and a catcher?
There you go.
Well, today it's Jason Jaramillo and Tony Randazzo, your men with masks. Jesse Chavez will pitch the 6th inning for Pittsburgh, and Ramon Castro leading off. Castro has grounded out and walked 0 for 1. Chavez with a good fastball, 0-2. Jesse Chavez in his 2nd year with the Pirates, 25 years old.
Well, he has been one of their constants out of the bullpen. He's had a nice beginning to the season as he blows away Castro.
3 pitches, Castro done, 1 away. Daniel Murphy set to pinch hit. First, let's go to the studio. Jonas Schwartz for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Would have been a 2-run walk-off homer. Instead, it's a Justin Verlander 2-hit shutout. Call strike to Daniel Murphy, who in his career as a pinch hitter is hitting .529. It's 9 for 17. 3 for 4 this year as a pinch hitter. That's got to be awfully tough for a young player. A guy who's used to playing every day and all of a sudden thrust into a pinch hitting role, and somehow he's ready.
Well, one thing about it, he's too young. He hadn't found out how tough it is to be a pinch hitter.
Well, it puts you in a strange role, though. You don't want to hit too well as a pinch hitter, right, Ralph?
Yeah.
It make you a pinch hitter permanently.
That's the job you don't want to have.
He's just a good hitter anytime. When he steps in the box, he's a threat.
Murphy is hitting over 400 with 2 strikes this year. And that's pretty extraordinary too, Ralph, isn't it?
It certainly is. You know, one thing about pinch hitting, there are 2 philosophies. One is you don't ever take a pitch. Swing at the first thing you can see. And the other is that you have complete notice of the strike zone. Murphy is in the 2nd category. He has a very good knowledge of the strike zone and will not swing at a bad ball.
Jerry Manuel said something very interesting about Daniel Murphy. He said that for a young hitter, most young hitters have a good idea of strike zone, either the bottom of it or the top. And he's one of the few that he's seen that has both. He knows the strike zone on top of the strike zone and at the bottom of the strike zone.
Out to short for Vasquez, and there are 2 away.
Well, one thing about hitting, if you hit the pitcher's pitch, meaning high and inside and low and outside, you're going to be a good hitter. If you don't, you're going to have trouble.
Yeah.
John Maine leads for a pinch hitter after 6 innings. 3rd straight good start for John, and in line for his 3rd consecutive win. Now Reyes has had a good day at the plate. 2 for 3. He's driven in a couple. He's stolen a base. He's scored a run. It's our first look at Jesse Chavez. He throws hard.
Really hard.
Rolls over 1 down to first, and Adam LaRoche makes the play, and so Chavez comes on and pitches a 1-2-3, bottom of the 6th. That's a go to the bullpen for the 7th. Ralph, thanks very much as always for joining us.
Well, Gary, it's nice to be here and to see your home team win. When I played with the Pirates, we didn't see that very often.
Or in the early days of the Mets, for that matter. So it's the Mets leading the Pirates 7-1 as we head for the 7th at Citi Field. today among the nearly 40,000 who have paid their way in. And Ken Takahashi, who threw one pitch and got a key out last night, comes right back this afternoon.
Well, he hasn't done anything bad since he's been up. 2 2/3 innings in that Saturday game in Philadelphia without giving up a run, and a nice curveball to get out of the inning in last night's game.
Takahashi last night came on to get Nate McLouth on one pitch. We also have a new catcher. Omir Santos has come on for Ramon Castro, and we're told that Castro has left the game with a tight right quad. Ramon Vasquez leading off in the 7th inning. So there's Santos. And of course the Mets already have Brian Schneider on the disabled list, and they carry only 2 catchers. Vasquez pops it up. Castillo out. Beltran in, and it lands. Beltran didn't make any effort to go after that ball. He left Castillo on his own, and Louis couldn't reach it. And Vasquez is on. Not sure why Beltran didn't make more of an effort.
No, that ball just kept carrying. That's really got to be Carlos's ball there. I mean, when you finally saw how far Castillo was out, that ball just carried too far away from Louis.
So it's a pop fly single for Ramon Vasquez. And now Jason Jaramillo, switch hitter, turns around about right-handed against Takahashi, and he takes ball 1. Jaramillo's walked into a soft liner to the second baseman. Jaramillo lofts one down the right field line. A long run for Sheffield. Reaching, sliding, and he made the catch. Nice play by Sheffield going toward that sidewall. He caught it in fair territory for a very nice first out.
Well, all the fielders are learning the trick to this play is to slide in because of that wall's close proximity to the foul line, and beautiful play there by Sheff.
He was playing well over toward right center field, and you've got to do that. You've got to bunch the gaps in this ballpark, and so he had a long way to run for that ball. Nice play. Now Craig Monroe will bat for the pitcher Chavez. Monroe, the former Detroit Tiger, picked up by the Pirates, and he swings at the changeup. 0-1.
He had a nice couple of years there in 06 and 07 for those Tiger teams. He's good for 20 home runs and 80 RBI kind of guy.
He was with that Detroit team that went to the World Series in 06. That team hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah. Ordonez, Monroe, Inge.
Since then, short stint with the Cubs in 07. With the Twins last year, he hit just .202. And the Pirates signed him as a minor league free agent. Now the 0-2, foul back. '40-year-old rookie Ken Takahashi, third oldest player to make his major league debut since World War II. Satchel Paige was the oldest. He was 42.
Well, the Mets had interest in him this winter, right? And he opted to go to Toronto because the Mets couldn't assure him that he would be looked at as a starting pitcher, and Toronto said they would.
And Takahashi hurt his leg early in spring training and really didn't get to pitch very much for the Blue Jays, but they let him go, and the Mets picked him up. And he strikes out Monroe for the second out. And the thing about Takahashi that we've seen so far is that he looks equally comfortable against lefties and righties.
He does. He has that, what's the word? Crossover, right? He has that good breaking ball that he strikes out Monroe here. Down and in slider.
Right now operating as the second lefty out of the bullpen with Pedro Feliciano. So here's Nyjer Morgan, who's been held in check today because, unlike yesterday, he's been hitting the ball in the air. He's flied out 3 times. And he takes the breaking ball for a strike.
See, there's no translation, Gary, from the Japanese game. It's that Takahashi doesn't know that you're not supposed to get right-handers out, too. That's an American thing.
It's the Japanese word for crossover.
That's right.
One and one now to Morgan. Evan Meek, the right-hander, up in the Pirate bullpen. They've got some names on this Pirate team that you have to be a real big fan of baseball to know. Off the fists, Morgan fouls it off. 1-2.
Got some young arms in that bullpen. You had to really like watching Chavez in that last inning. Meek's got a live arm also.
Matt Capps is their young closer, but now it's looking as though we're not going to see him in this series at all. Capps has had some elbow problems, so that has limited John Russell's use of him over the last few days. 1-2, and Morgan goes down swinging. Back-to-back strikeouts for Ken Takahashi. So another good inning for Takahashi. After the leadoff single fell in, he gets the next three with some help from Sheffield, and it's still 7-1 Mets. % or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Met fans enjoying a Saturday afternoon. Mets won last night. They've won 5 straight. Looking for their first 6-game winning streak since August of last year. And leading 7-1 as we head to the bottom of the 7th. Up and stretching. A little take me out to the ball game with Lazy Mary.
Lazy Mary's the best. For me, anyway.
You know the lyrics?
I don't. You don't know any lyrics to it.
No, it's Italian. It's one of those songs that all you have to do is clap along. No singing required. Luis Castillo turns around to bat left-handed against the new Pirate pitcher, Evan Meek.
Well, Meek was recalled from Indianapolis at the end of April. His last outing was on the 7th, where he pitched a couple innings, struck out 2 in St. Louis.
He falls behind Castillo 2-0.
When you say Lazy Mary, I always just think about that. I'm officially at a Met game. You know what I mean? But I'm in Flushing. It's a real Met tradition.
You're saying that Lazy Mary has more resonance for you as a Met tradition than, say, Sweet Caroline?
Well, I'm from Boston, so Sweet Caroline is that's an institution at Fenway Park,
where we'll be in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
3-1 to Castillo. That's the tail end of that next road trip that starts on the West Coast and finishes in Boston.
Be interesting getting in at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning in Boston, right? Because the night game in LA the night before.
Love that red eye. 3-2 now to Castillo with Beltran and Delgado to follow in the bottom of the 7th. Mets got a run in the first, then they strung together 6 hits to score 5 runs in the fourth against Paul Maholm and break this game open. Castillo led off that inning with a base hit. 3-2 from Meek, and he fists one foul. That one almost hit him on the thumbs.
Cutter there by Meek. Did not stop cutting in on Luis Castillo.
Louis wastes another one. Evan Meek has made a trek through several organizations. Started out as property of the Twins. They let him go. Signed with San Diego. Tampa Bay picked him up in a minor league deal. Pirates took him in the Rule 5 draft and pitched in 9 games for them last year.
He turned 26 in a few days, May 12th.
Out to Sanchez, who throws out Castillo for the first out. So 1 out in the home 7th. Get to Citi Field, the Mets' new home of Amazing, as the series with the Pirates concludes tomorrow afternoon at 1:10 p.m. Then the NL East rival Braves come to town Monday at 7:10 p.m. for a 3-game series with Johan Santana pitching Monday night. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Here's Beltran, who hit a home run into the second deck in left field, batting right-handed his last time up.
Got a fastball there. Got that run, that Maholm with the home run right back and upper tank.
Talk about a left field landing.
Yeah.
Beltran 2 for 3 today. Now hitting at .385, leading the National League. A big hack, and it's 0-2. He was thinking home runs from both sides of the plate.
Well, he likes the ball up in the strike zone, so a place you can get him at times. Just go a little up the ladder.
Curveball bounced to the right side. LaRoche ranging wide, making the accurate toss. 3-1 on the putout, 2 out. Beltran, by the way, with that home run that he hit in the 5th inning, his 123rd home run as a Met. He's now in 7th place on the Mets all-time list. He just passed Kevin McReynolds. He's now 1 behind Todd Hundley.
Wow.
The other 5 guys ahead of him: Strawberry, Piazza, Hojo, Kingman, and David Wright.
He's got these players like Wright and Beltran, been here for a few years now, starting to climb up that ladder of all those offensive categories.
It's Beltran's 5th year now with the Mets. And Delgado takes a strike. Carlos, a rough day against Paul Maholm, who's very tough on lefties. Double play, strikeout, ground out. Now he gets to face a right-hander for the first time.
As an organization, the Mets' career hitting marks are a little more modest than most organizations.
Well, they've never been known as an offensive organization. Driven toward the gap in right center field. Back toward the wall, and it bounces to the bullpen fence. And Delgado cruises into second base with his 6th double of the year. No, Maholm gone, Delgado unleashed.
Oh, just the fastball right down the middle. Nice hitting by Carlos. Hit that right on the line. Lifts that or all that ball's gone. Interesting, he hits that double. Sometimes in these kind of games you'll see a pinch runner as the Mets seem to be in control. But no, Carlos is still out there.
Now David Wright, who had an RBI hit in the 4th inning. 1 for 3 on the day. David now has 8 runs batted in his last 6 games. Delgado's double, the Mets' 11th hit of the day. Ooh, and David has to get out of the way of that breaking ball. Well, he had a fastball thrown over his head the other day. This was a breaking ball that didn't break.
Yeah, Meek is just trying to start this to David and bend it over the plate, but doesn't break.
And that one finds the plate.
That's the thing that kills you, right, about young pitchers. They'll throw one that almost hits you in the head, and then the next one is perfect on the outside corner.
The inconsistency of youth.
Yes.
Fastball up and away, 2-1. Well, the Pirates have gotten a lot of inconsistency out of their bullpen, but they've got some good arms out there. And David lofts one toward the right field line. Moss took a bad route to it, and he can't get there. Delgado will score easily. It's rolling away from Moss, and Wright heads for third. An RBI triple for David Wright, and it's 8-1 New York. Second triple of the year for David, his second RBI of the day. And Brandon Moss had all sorts of problems out in right field.
So what happens is when you're bunching the right fielder and the center fielder in the gaps, it's a long way to go. And I think sometimes for these right fielders, they don't anticipate how far they have to run to get to that baseball, and kind of a circuitous route by Brandon Moss. David will take it.
Well, as soon as that ball landed, he could get 3 bases out of it. Well, this homestand, it's been more of a home run park than a triples park. David with a 3-base hit there. Now Sheffield takes a strike. 13th triple for the Mets this year, and that's the most in the majors, even after going a week without one. Sheffield has 2 hits today, and he's driven in a run. Mets now have a dozen hits in this game, as they are pouring it on, leading 8-1. And the breaking ball down, 1-1. Sheffield with an RBI today now has 1,638 RBIs for his career, and is 26th on the all-time list.
Just passed recently Eddie Matthews, didn't he?
Mets have Delgado, Sheffield, and Beltran, who recently passed the mark, all over 1,000 RBIs. There's only one other team in baseball that has 3 players on their club with 1,000 RBIs. It's a team that's really struggled this year, the Houston Astros, with Pudge Rodriguez, Miguel Tejada, and Carlos Lee. Taking low 3-1. I can't imagine that Lance Berkman's too far
Berkman's got to be
either.
close. Yeah, back in the book.
That's why we have Doug, our statistician here. Doug will find out in 2 shakes how many RBIs Berkman has. Here's the 3-1 to Sheffield. Little dribbler, and Meek comes off the mound to play it. That'll do it for the Mets in the 7th, but a 2-out double by Delgado. An RBI triple for David Wright. And the Mets having themselves a fine Saturday afternoon, leading 8-1 going to the 8th. Braves here at Citi Field. Mets Braves coverage begins Monday at 6:30 only on SNY. Freddie Sanchez leads off the 8th inning against Ken Takahashi and takes ball 1. Well, Doug Midler, true to my word, has looked up Lance Berkman.
It's quick, isn't he?
23 RBIs shy of 1,000. Now, if Berkman were off to his normal start, he'd be a lot closer.
He'd probably have covered it already.
Berkman is hitting, this is unbelievable, he's hitting 184 right now. How is that possible?
I don't know. He's one of the best hitters in the game.
Lifetime 300 hitter coming into the season, but now he's at 299. Sanchez chasing the changeup, and it's 2-2. Berkman.
Boy, this is an excellent changeup from Takahashi. Movement, deception of speed.
Berkman has 6 years of 100 RBIs or more. This is his 11th season. Here's the 2-2, and Sanchez reaching for it. Yanks it down to third, a foul ball.
The Sheffield shirts are already out. Although I wouldn't know him as number 10, I would know him as number 500, right?
It's a different way to go. And Sanchez lifts one to left center. A long run back to the gap for Beltran, but he cruises over to make the grab. One away. Time to check in with Jonas Schwartz back in the studio for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game rating. All right, thanks, Jonas. That was a doubly tough loss for the Cubs. They not only lost the game, but Aramis Ramirez dislocated his shoulder, and there's no telling how long he might be out.
What do they say, about 4 to 6 weeks?
They've had all sorts of injury problems, the Cubs, and yet they're 3 games over 500 and hanging around.
Zambrano.
Yep. Derek Lee was hurt. McLeod fouls it back. McLeod has gone 0 for 3 today. Castillo made a very nice play to pick up a scorcher on the backhand and throw him out in the third. And a broken bat bloop. On comes Beltran to make the catch. Ball hung up just long enough for Carlos to register his 7th put out of the day. 2 out and nobody on.
His closing speed is as good as anyone in baseball. That ball looked like a sure hit off the bat of McLeod.
There's a lot of ground to cover in that Citi Field outfield. Here's Adam LaRoche. The 3, 4, and 5 hitters for the Pirates today have gone a combined 0 for 10. McLeod, Adam LaRoche, and Brandon Moss. LaRoche's line to center, struck out, and grounded out to second. Takahashi gave up a pop fly single. Now he's retired 5 in a row. He's been nothing but impressive in his 3 outings as a Met. And a little ground ball to the right side for Castillo. Takahashi over to cover. Nicely done. A 1-2-3 inning for Ken Takahashi. Carlos Beltran catching a couple of fly balls to help Takahashi out. 8-1. Yankee. They've played some good outfield defense tonight, this afternoon. Tatis 1 for 3. He has driven in a run. That's with a run in the first, 5 in the fourth, a Beltran homer in the fifth, and a David Wright RBI triple in the seventh to lead it 8-1. John Mayne started, went 6 solid innings. And the Mets 3 outs away from their 6th straight win as John Grabo pitches the 8th inning for the Pirates.
Again, some good numbers for Grabo, who's really fashioned himself a nice career here or there in Pittsburgh. He is their workhorse out of the bullpen for the left-handers.
He was in 74 games last year, pitched to a 2.84 ERA. So it's part of that U.S. team in the World Baseball Classic. As Tatis lofts one foul. Speaking of outfield defense today for the Mets, here is your Home Depot doing more on defense.
Nice job by Fernando. You know the thing you love about Fernando is that he came up as an infielder, but he can play first, but he can play any position because he's a really good athlete, you know, and he doesn't panic out there. I ask you, Gary, since you had your childhood at Shea Stadium, you saw so many games there, is there a part of you that the next time the Mets are home and have a nationally televised game on the weekend that you'll come to a game and watch one? I'd like to sit in the stands and see what it's
absolutely.
like. Yeah.
I'm just not sure where to sit.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. That's always a little bit of a problem.
Shallow left field. Nigel Morgan coming on, got a late start. It falls for a hit. So Morgan, who looked splendid playing the outfield yesterday, that time froze, and Tatis has his 2nd hit of the day.
Well, he's fooled by the swing. It's off the end of the bat, and even his great speed can't make up for the poor jump.
So the Mets have the leadoff man on in the home 8th, and now Omir Santos bats for the first time. Came on in the 7th for Castro, who left with a tight right quad. Santos had an RBI single in 4 at-bats last night, and obviously it's something the Mets are going to have to keep a close eye on with Castro, since they only carry 2 catchers. You can't go more than a couple of days with 1 catcher unavailable. And, you know, you hope that Castro could be ready in a day or 2.
Yeah.
But hasn't that been the story of Ramon's career, that the injuries just always come up at the least opportune times?
And, you know, Jerry has said that even though he's not managing today, if you take a guy out of a ball game, he's usually at least no good for the next day.
Santos lines one down the left field line. That's an extra base hit going to the corner. Tatis heads for 3rd as Morgan digs it out. Tatis gets a red light from Razor Shines. Omir Santos has a double, and the Mets have 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. The Mets put together a big offensive day. That's their 14th hit.
Decent pitch by Grabo, down and in, but Santos with that quick swing lines it down the 3rd base line. And Tatis, the thing you like about him, he's always hustling. He turns it on here when he senses he can score a run, but held up by Razor Shines at 3rd base. Santos, who runs well for a catcher.
And now Jeremy Reed is up to pinch hit. Reed, who leads the league in appearances as a defensive replacement, gets a rare turn at bat. No, seriously, he does. Only 13 at bats for Jeremy, who actually got a start the other day when the Mets were playing the Phillies. And bats here with the infield in, a chance to get a run home at least. But now he's in an 0-2 hole.
Nice job by Takahashi, huh? 2 innings.
He has been nothing but splendid in his 3 outings so far. 0-2 to Reed, and he takes low and away. Brian Stokes unleashed. It's been 11 days since Brian's been in a game, and it looks like he's finally going to get in.
And a ground ball base hit for Reed. That'll bring home Tatis. Santos stops at 3rd. Jeremy Reed with his second run batted into the season, and it's 9-1 New York. That's a guy who needed a hit.
Doesn't get lots of at bats. He gets on pinch hitting, has to face a tough left-hander, and does a nice job of pulling that ball to the right side and finds a hole.
So 3 straight hits to start the inning. And now Reyes bats with first and third and nobody out. Jose already has 2 hits. He's driven in 2 runs today. And he hits one in the air along the right field line. A long run from Moss or Sanchez, and it falls. Racing home is Santos, and it's 10-1. Third hit of the day, third RBI of the day for Reyes. Brandon Moss has to feel like they're picking on him.
Yeah, well, Mets have a lot of hits today, but they also have a lot of hits like this of just finding the hole. Santos scoring from third base. 10-1 Mets. Whoa.
16 hits, a season high for the Mets. Now Castillo, who's 2 for 4. Still nobody out, and he takes a strike. Well, the Mets have scored early, which they're good at, and often, which they're not always good at. 0-2 to Castillo. Most runs the Mets have had in a game this year. First time they've reached double digits.
This league can be vicious at times. When you're on top of your game, you have to take care of these teams. These are where the teams that you fatten up on for the season.
And it hasn't always been that way with this team. They haven't always had the killer instinct, and they're going to have a chance tomorrow to go out there and sweep a series, and that's something they have not been very good at. They've won the first 2 games of the series and then faltered in that third game, and they're going to have to try and put the hammer down tomorrow.
Takahashi trying to learn the vagaries of the high five.
Castillo looking bad on the breaking ball by Grabo. That's the first out of the inning. A rare strikeout for Castillo.
Oh, I see. They're teaching Takahashi his own little handshake salute.
Ivan Hernandez and Alex Cora trying to provide a little instruction. Johan, an interested observer. Of course, he leads the team in handshakes, I believe, at Santana. Well, here's Beltran, who has a single and a home run today, and he pops one up into shallow center. McLeod settling under it, and that's the second out. So 2 away, and Carlos Delgado will come to bat. If the score stays the way it is, this will be the 5th time this year the Pirates have lost a game by 5 or more runs. So not only are they losing right now, they're in that mode where they're losing games in which they don't have much of a chance.
Yeah, they're not being competitive. That's an awful place to be.
And they started the year so well, but this is going to be 11 losses in their last 12 games.
What did they start? 11-7 in the first 18?
Here's Delgado, 1 for 3, doubled his last time up. Fouled away. Well, don't forget, coming up right after the game today, much more on Lincoln Mercury post-game extra. We'll hear, I'm sure, from John Main about his stellar performance today. Carlos Beltran about his second deck home run. Jose Reyes about his 3 hits and his 3 RBIs. I don't know if we'll hear from Sandy Alomar, the interim manager, or Jerry Manuel gets to come down to do the post-game press conference, but either way, Jonas Schwartz and Bobby Ojeda will have it for you on Lincoln Mercury post-game live after every Mets game all season long. Even tomorrow when the game's on Pix, post-game on SNY. All coming up after the game today. 1-2 to Delgado. Grabo misses high.
You hear Sandy saying to Jerry, I don't know what the problem is, Jerry. They hit for me.
Well, he hasn't had to exactly scratch and claw for this one.
Where did Hojo get those glasses? Out of a Cracker Jack box?
Slow ground ball. Sanchez with a long way to come, and Delgado beats it out. Oh, that's the downside of playing your second baseman out in the outfield. Sanchez came as hard as he could, but not in time to prevent Delgado from getting the infield hit.
Well, here's the ground ball. Where's Sanchez? There he is. That is just no man's land. No play there. That's the problem you have. Boy, the Mets have some interesting hits today, don't they?
No. Better to be lucky than good, right? 17 hits now for the Mets. Delgado's second of the day. Every Met who has played the entire game has at least 2 hits. Reyes has 3, Castillo 2, Beltran 2, Delgado 2, Wright 2, Sheffield 2, Tatis 2.
And Paul Maholm, the talented lefty, must have known this was going to be this kind of day, because his first inning, no one hit the ball hard, and he had a run in within about 3 minutes. Pass ball, stolen base, a couple base hits.
David Wright has a single and a triple today. He's driven in 2, and he takes a strike. 0-2. David has 4 career grand slams. His last one came in 06. That was at Coors Field. Line towards short, picked off by Vasquez to end the inning. Mets add 2, strand 3, and Brian Stokes finally is going to get himself in a game. Looking to finish off a big day for the Mets. Hey, that nice catch. That's something to tell the kids about. Best in HD free with IOTV. My City and by Acela. Let's make some changes as we go to the 9th inning. Brian Stokes will come on to pitch the 9th. A long time since Brian went to the mound.
Well, it's all 11s for Brian. He hasn't given up an earned run in 11 innings, and he hasn't pitched in 11 days.
1-1 to Brandon Moss. Fouled away, 1-2. Fernando Tatis has moved from left field to first base. There's Fernando with the bigger glove. Alex Cora has taken over at shortstop, giving Reyes a rare inning off. And Jeremy Reed is now out in left field. 2-2 now to Moss. There's Reed, who picked up an RBI single in his at bat. 10 runs on 17 hits, both season highs for the Mets today. It's not often that Reyes gets to observe for an inning. Moss fouls it back. It's been a lost series so far for Brandon Moss. 0 for 7 in the 2 games, 4 strikeouts, and innumerable problems in right field. Almost as much trouble as I had saying that word.
That's a tough one for me too. Try to stay away from that one.
Yeah, you know better, don't you?
No,
Chance for Reed coming on, and Reed makes the running catch to retire Moss for the first out of the ninth.
Nice job by Jeremy. Good break. Calling off Alex Cora. And those little pop flies, broken bats that have fallen in for the Mets have not fallen in for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Now Andy LaRoche, who's 1 for 2, robbed of a base hit on the lunging grab by Tatis in left field his last time up. Well, the Mets on the verge of their 6th straight win. That one lined down the left field line, an extra base hit for Andy LaRoche. Only the 5th hit of the game for the Pirates, and LaRoche has his 2nd double of the day.
Hit by a pitch also, on base 3 times, Andy LaRoche. Boy, he's got a nice quick bat, I'll tell you.
So a runner at second with 1 out. And now Ramon Vasquez, who hit a pop fly single his last time up in the 7th, 1 for 3 on the day. Brian Stokes earlier this year was in a stretch where he pitched 5 times in 6 days. This is something very different. And that's got to be awfully difficult as a pitcher, trying to figure out how much work to get in, not knowing when you're going to be in a game.
Yeah, well, for a reliever, you don't want to, you want to stay sharp out there, but you can't throw before the game off a mound because you might be needed. So sometimes you get some late work in, but it's certainly not the same as facing hitters. As you can see, Ryan looks a little rusty.
And it's only been a matter of the way the games have been played. The Mets all of a sudden have started winning, but winning close, and that means that Parnell and Putz and K-Rod have gotten the majority of the work, with Feliciano mixed in as the lefty specialist, and it's kind of left Stokes out of the mix. 3-1 to Vasquez. Hit to center field. Beltran standing his ground. 2 out.
The frustrations and vagaries of playing this game. Vasquez is up, hits a 3-1 pitch, works his tail off to get the hitter's count, hits a bullet to center field in a game you're losing by 9 runs, and go sit down. I mean, mind games.
After watching Delgado hit a ball that rolled 60 feet and get a hit out of it. It all evens out in the end, right?
That's what they say. I never believed that.
Here's Jason Jaramillo. Pirates down to their last out, and it should be secured right here. David Wright grabs it, and the Mets win it in a walk. Their biggest offensive day of the year, with Sandy Alomar Sr. holding the reins for the suspended Jerry Manuel. 1 game, and Sandy gets a win. John Mayne pitched great.